Before putting ink in your printer, just make sure that you have everything that you need. You have your cyan ink, your magenta, your black, your yellow. You also have your white ink. Now, I also brought out a bottle of pre-treat because there's a very important thing to take note of. In your printer, you only want to make sure you put white ink in your printer. You never want to put pre-treat in there. So this is what the white ink label looks like. Not to be confused with the DTG pre-treat. This is never to go in your printer. This is only for pre-treating purposes. So please take note of the two different bottles. The white ink is the one that goes in your printer. Never pre-treat. To fill the machine with ink, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that these connections are good and tight. At this point in time, we do not want to make this electrical connection. We simply unscrew the bottle from the stirring paddle. Take your white ink. Make sure it's ink and not pre-treatment. And now we want to shake it. And your white ink, you must shake this at least 2 to 3 times per week if you don't have all of this inside the machine. I would suggest shaking it every day if at all possible. So now we simply take the cap off and fill the bottle up. On a new machine, it will take the entire 16-ounce bottle. And it's easier to turn the bottle and hold the cap steady. And your full position is about 1/4 inch below the cap. You want to make sure this ink never gets below half full because the take-up tubes are above the stirring paddle, which is about halfway down in the bottle. To fill the color side of the machine, we're simply going to remove the empty bottles that come with the machine and replace it with the ink. Now you will notice that the new ink bottles here have an opening that's the same size as the bottle that's on the machine. If for any reason when you get the ink, sometimes they come with a small little cap. If you have the small cap, you're simply going to pour that ink into the empty bottles. But in this case we have the large opening cap, so we simply take the bottle, screw the empty bottle off, remove the cap, and simply place the tube, screw the bottle onto the cap, make sure that it's nice and taut so that these pressure lines can build up pressure inside the bottle. The Viper is fed by a pressure system, so we need to make sure that we have a good tight seal. And we'll continue to do that for the rest of the colors. Our magenta, our cyan, and our black. It's a good idea to retain the empty bottles if you have the empty bottles, because if we want to flush the system out, those empty bottles are the perfect container to hold our flushing solution. you'll notice that the cyan is where the cyan label is. I'll pull this label. Sometimes they slide forward, but you'll notice the magenta is where the magenta label is, and the black and the yellow are the same way. We also want to make sure that these shutoff valves are all the way in the up position, which is open. If these are down, that's the off position. We don't want any of these turned off. We want all of these wide open. So you want to check all of these pinch valves for each of the 4 colors to make sure they are all open. And these, in fact, are all open. To fill the machine with ink, we're going to put the machine into a power cleaning. So I hit the menu button, I hit the forward button until it says menu. I hit the menu button when it says maintenance. I hit the forward button until it says power cleaning. I hit the menu button, it says perform power cleaning, yes or no. And I simply say yes by hitting the menu button. You will see the ink being drawn up into the lines coming into the machine. During this power cleaning process, you're going to have to raise and lower the levers on the back of the machine. So I'm looking at the control panel until it tells me to raise the levers. So now it's telling me to raise both ink levers. I'm going to go behind the machine. I'm going to pull the pods back. And I'm going to raise the ink levers as instructed. When told to do so, I'm going to lower the ink levers and continue this process until the cycle is completed. Upon completion of your power cleaning, you want to check the tubing harness. If we look at this very carefully, you'll notice there's ink throughout these tubes. So now we check, follow it all the way around, and all the way, and check to see where it comes into the print head. I have ink throughout those lines entirely. If you did a power cleaning and you do not have ink throughout those lines, continue to do more power cleanings until the ink is all the way into the print head. This could possibly take up to 8 or 10 power cleanings. At this point in time, we can plug in our white ink pod. This is the main power supply for the white ink pod. The reason we didn't want to plug this in till now is we wanted to make sure that the color ink got primed first, because as soon as I plug this in, the circulation pump is going to turn on, and white ink is going to be throughout the lines in a matter of moments just by the nature of the pump circulating it. So we want to make sure that the color was done first. But now we can plug this in, and you can see the white ink being drawn through the system. You'll know when that's completed because ink is going to return back into this line, which you'll notice is now white, which means ink is returning all the way back. It's gone through the lines and has come back to the main bottle. To set the timer on the ink pod, we want to set the rest period for 3 hours. These numbers indicate hours of rest. And we want to set the stir button down to about 12 minutes. That means the pump is going to stir and circulate the ink for about 12 minutes. Then it's going to rest for 3 hours. Then it will stir again, and it will keep doing that. Once we put white ink in this machine, we never turn the power off. The last thing we need to do is we need to make sure the print head is completely primed. And we do that by doing a couple of head cleanings. On a brand new Viper, usually 2 to 4 head cleanings would suffice. And to put the printer into a head cleaning, we simply press and hold the menu button for 3 seconds. The blinky light starts to flash blue. It says cleaning, and that will actually prime the print head.